man conquers the world by conquering himself. Zeno is a merchant who travels from one port to another to sell and buy goods. In the 3rd century BC, this trading activity made him a wealthy merchant, abounding in wealth. But one day, on his way to Piraeus, the ship he was on sank. Lucky Zeno's life survived and arrived in Athens. But unfortunately all the cargo and all its wealth was swallowed up by the ocean. How would you react when you found out everything you had disappeared in one night? Sad, angry, hopeless, or even want to end your life? Humans in general will experience a sense of anger, and fall tremendously if they experience drastic life changes such as that experienced by Zeno. But apparently this does not apply to Zeno, the founder of the philosophy of Stoicism. A bad feeling is a commotion of the mind repugnant to reason, and against nature. On his way to survive in poverty, Zeno often visited a bookseller in Athens. It was during this time that he found Xenophon Memorabilia, a book that introduces Zeno to Socrates and his philosophy. Socrates' philosophical thought about the nature of life, human rationalism, and his study of happiness and virtue have amazed Zeno. His great admiration for Socrates made him find out. He asked the bookseller where he could find someone with similar thoughts. Zeno wanted to delve deeper into thinking and philosophy as embraced by Socrates. The bookseller told Zeno about a man named Crate of Thebes, a philosopher of cynicism. Zeno was looking for Crates, became a student of Crates and deepened the science of philosophy. Zeno then began teaching philosophy in a building, with a large pillar and terrace in the center of Athens, Greece. This building is known as Stoic, which means colored terrace. From here the term Sto is used, which is then called Stoicism or Stoic philosophy. That is why Stoicism is also known as the core philosophy. Stoicism studies the development of logic, both rhetoric and dialectics, physics, ethics, theology, and politics. But more focused on ethics. One of the striking views about the ethics of Stoicism is how humans choose the attitude of life by emphasizing whether it is yes or full self-control. Life is resigned to accept the situation in the world. This attitude is considered a reflection of the ability of human logic, even the highest ability of all things. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Through this quote, Marcus wants to convey that we have complete control over what we think. And that's what will lead us to be someone we want regardless of bad things whatever happens around us. If we manage to choose which ones are appropriate to enter our minds, and which ones are not, then we will achieve peace of life. Marcus Aurelius himself was an emperor who led the Roman Empire in 161–180 BC. He has immense power, but uses his power in a way of kindness and wisdom. Even a famous historian Edward Gibbon mentions that he was the last emperor of the 5 best emperors. Marcus Aurelius also wrote a lot of self-reflection journals. Journals that were not originally intended for publication. This journal is not just a personal note, but also contains Stoic ideas from his point of view. This journal gave him a better understanding of who he is and what impact he wants to make to the world. The journal was later published into a book called Meditation. This book is one of the most important works in the philosophy of Stoicism, which is still well recorded today. Then how to apply Stoicism in everyday life? Stoicism simply teaches how to keep the mind calm and rational. No matter what bad things happen to us, we stay focused on what we can control and not worry, or giving up on things we have no control over. The teachings of Stoicism can be applied in everyday life. Some points that we can apply in our lives include: the first focus is on what we can control. The more we value things outside our control, the less control we have. In that sentence we can take a lesson, that we must focus on the things we can do and we can control. There's no point in wasting time on the things we can't change. For example, the fact that someone is born in a poor family will certainly waste time if he continues to lament his fate. that he is just a poor person and it is not easy to do many things because of limited funds. Rather than focusing on shortcomings, it is better to focus on what things can be done with the strengths that you have. For example, making poverty an excuse to study hard and be the best in school, and then becomes a reason to work hard and continue to improve skills at work. Epictetus himself was a slave. During his life Epictetus was often treated harshly, so often he was beaten he was paralyzed and crippled. But all of the suffering did not make him down. It was this bad experience that he turned into a lesson to develop and teach the philosophy of Stoicism and made him one of the most influential Greek philosophers. Epictetus has many collections of notes which later became one of the famous ancient Greek writings and was called the Discourse Epictetus. Imagine if an Epictetus only focused on the fact that he was just a poor slave who could never do anything but obey his master's orders. Is it possible that we will read his name in the history of Stoicism? The second, don't let yourself suffer because of thinking too many problems. Seneca was a Roman statesman, teacher, writer, and philosopher of Stoicism, who later became an advisor to Emperor Nero in running the country's government. Ever said, "People have suffered more often in imagination than reality." Sometimes we are too deep into studying a problem, guessing who is at fault, thinking about what other people think of us, thinking too much about what if things don't go according to plan. Finally we are tormented by our own thoughts, both problems that have happened and those that have not happened. What happens is that our lives are getting worse and full of sadness, even though what we think is all wrong and not real. According to Epictetus, when trouble comes man has two choices. First is to change it as we want. Or second, accept it gracefully. That this is the reality, which one will you choose? Stoicism teaches us to accept reality and make the best use of the things we have. Accept it as the best thing to happen happily. Third, make progress every day even if only small steps. Well-being is realized by small steps, but it's truly no small things. When you have one big goal or ideal, then make targets that you can do in the short term to reach your big goals. Pursue your target and make progress every day. This can make you see your goals more realistic and more real to achieve. Do not chase perfection, but pursue progress and development so that you are always a level better than yesterday. So does perfection really exist? The fourth, learn life from great people. Not to assume it's impossible because you find it hard, but to recognize that if it's humanly possible, you can do too. Marcus reminds us that if we constantly have a negative outlook, then everything we encounter will appear negative. And when we think we can't do something, chances are we really can't. So keep learning from great people. If they can do it, then we can do it too. It is adversity that will shape us into better and stronger individuals. The fifth, prioritize courage, simplicity, justice, wisdom. Stoicists believe in these four things. You have passed through life without an opponent. No one can never know what you are capable of, not even you. The world sometimes wants to know where the right place is for you. That's why he sometimes sends you difficult situations. Think of this not as an inconvenience or even a tragedy, but instill in yourself that this is an opportunity. As a question to answer where you will stand later. Ask yourself at every moment, is this necessary? More fully, Marcus says, that if you are looking for serenity, do less, or rather do what is really important and what way is necessary. Because most of what we say and do is unimportant. If you can get rid of it, you will have more time, and more peace. And a commitment to justice in your own act, which mean, thought and action resulting in the comment good, what you were born to do. Basically, man is not born for himself alone. Humans were created for the sake of other humans, so that they can do good to one another. Then we must follow nature as a guide to realize our contribution to the common good. Marcus said that faith, steadfastness, and righteousness are essential to considering what it means to act unjustly. We were given 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason: to listen more than we talk. And furthermore, because we have 2 eyes, then we are obliged to read and observe more than speak. Stoicism teaches us to always be wise, where we need to be humble students, and look for great teachers. That's why we can't stop learning and keep practicing. We have to be good at distinguishing between signals and noise. Noise that doesn't need to be ignored. 6th, or the last, cherish your time. It's not that we have short space of time, but that we waste much of it. This sentence can be found in the book On the Shortness of Life, which is one of the books written by Seneca. Seneca wrote down many of his ideas in letters which were later collected into one of the most important works in the philosophy of Stoicism. Seneca's collection of letters is made into a book that contains messages and lessons on how to live life, how to behave with other people, how to live life as best as possible, face all difficulties, to be more sensitive to one's emotions. Seneca avoided presenting complex theory in favor of practical presentation. He believed that philosophy should be able to provide guidance on how we deal with real events in life. Many people complain about how little time they have in life, even though according to Seneca, life is long enough, and has been given in the right measure, to enable the accomplishment of the greatest things if we can use them and invest them well. But when time is wasted in luxury and carelessness, until it is used for bad purposes, and then we start to realize there are many important things we have to do, we see it's all gone, our time is running out. An example is when a person has so much wealth, but feels worthless and meaningless when it falls into the hands of an unwise person. While limited wealth, if it is entrusted to good people, it will increase in number. Just like our lives, it's actually quite long for people who can use it properly. In essence, life will always surprise you. Sometimes it's sweet, sometimes it's bitter. But all the choices are in our hands. We will see it as a disaster, or accept it sincerely and see it as a place that makes us better. The choice is yours. The nearer a man comes to a calm mind, the closest he is to strength.